Imagine saving millions of reroll shards, using every last one, and still not getting the substat you're looking for. What's up, tower nerds? Corinto's here! Today we're going to figure out the most efficient way to reroll module substats for new players, mid-game players, and end-game perfectionists. Because the best strategy changes depending on your module rarity, how many slots you have open, how many effects you have locked, and how many bans you have available. It's my goal to make rerolling your substats fun and rewarding, not wasteful, humiliating, and heartbreaking. When you roll for a substat, every open slot first rolls for a rarity. Most of the time, you're gonna see common or rare. Ancestral appears only 3 times in every 1,000 rarity rolls on average. The difference between Mythic and Ancestral may look small, but Ancestral is more than 3 times rarer. When you hit a substat you like, you have the option to lock that substat. The more locks you have in place, the more expensive it becomes to reroll for substats. For that reason, a good substat is not automatically worth locking. There are a few other things to consider, which I'll cover in a moment. Bans can be researched in the lab, and each module type has a limit to the number of substats that can be banned. By banning a specific substat, it will remove that specified substat from the eligible pool, but does not directly increase the chance of rolling a higher rarity. In other words, it cannot turn a common roll into a mythic roll. It changes which substat can be selected after the rarity has already been determined. Imagine a set of bags, one for each rarity. Substats appear only in the bags where their rarity is eligible. A ban will remove a substat from all relevant bags. This means substats compete differently depending on the rarity you are targeting. A low rarity substat can steal the name before a later slot gets the chance to roll the higher rarity you actually want. Substats cannot appear twice on the same module, so if a common health regen appears in the first slot of a reroll, it can block the higher rarity version from appearing in a later slot, so removing too many harmless low rarity alternatives can accidentally make that happen more often. This is why banning every substat you dislike can sometimes make your desired substat and rarity harder to obtain. Now that we've touched on why the obvious strategy can be wrong, let's explore these concepts in 3 different scenarios. Up first, the new tower recruit. They're really proud of their first epic generator module. They haven't researched any bans yet, and they want 3 very specific epic substats. Since epic substats have a 10% chance of showing up, this sounds totally manageable. The first substat is cheap, no problem. The second is still reasonable. But the third is where our new recruits' reroll shards go to die.
Time to die.
That final epic substat accounts for roughly 86% of the expected cost, and 18,000 shards is just the average. They would need over 40,000 shards for a 90% chance of hitting all 3 epic substats. My advice? Get 1 or 2 of your strongest substats, settle on a useful alternative for the third, and save your shards for a higher rarity module. There's no point in trying to perfect a module that's only temporary. Aim for useful, not perfect. For the new recruit, the answer is simple.
Stop it. Get some help.
For the mid-game optimizer, stopping isn't the difficult part. It's choosing what to ban and when to lock. They've had some decent luck with the recent banner and managed to get their favorite armor module to Mythic Plus. It's got 5 open slots, and they know exactly which 4 substats they absolutely must have on their new favorite toy. So what should they ban? When should they lock a substat? And how will duplicate blocking affect our strategy? Most players would just ban the substats they dislike most, lock every desired Mythic substat immediately, and continue until all 4 are secured, which sounds safe, logical, responsible, but the math would just insult you.
I can't do math!
1 ban helps, 2 a little more, but the 3rd and 4th bans completely transform the scenario. Each ban's value depends on which rarity pool it affects, which desired substats remain, and whether those substats can be blocked by lower rarities. For example, Mythic Defense Percent and Health Regen are both worth locking immediately because they are highly vulnerable to duplicate blocking. Both can appear as common or rare, which would prevent them from appearing later as Mythic. Wall Health has less blocking exposure because it cannot appear as common or rare, but an Epic or Legendary can still block Mythic. Orbs has no rarity below Mythic and has no risk of blocking itself in this scenario. With all of this in mind, how would we tackle this module with only one ban? We ban Death Defy while hunting for Mythic Defense Percent and Health Regen.
But Grintos, why don't we ban Defense Absolute?
If Dabs is banned, every common roll must become either Defense Percent or Health Regen, preventing it from rolling Mythic. Death Defy is the safer early ban because it removes a competitor from Legendary and Mythic bags without shrinking the common or rare bags. If Wall Health or Orbs appears without Defense Percent and Health Regen locked, do not lock it. I know they are desired substats, but securing either one early raises the cost of every subsequent roll, and they are easier to isolate later. Once Defense Percent and Health Regen are locked, then we switch the ban to Defense Absolute. This eliminates the third and final armor substat eligible at common rarity, making it a much more valuable ban than Death Defy. Lock Wall Health and Orbs when they appear, and fill the last slot with any old crazy substat.
Crazy's better than nothing.
With only one ban, Death Defy protects the hunt for your 2 blocking prone effects, and Dabs improves the cleanup.
The mind does the dying, fleet just does the flying.
So let's examine what changes if we're lucky enough to have 4 bans at our disposal. For the first half, in addition to Death Defy, you can ban any 3 unwanted substats that begin with Epic. This reduces competition in the Epic, Legendary, and Mythic bags without changing the common or rare bags. Once we have our Defense Percent and Health Regen, we can ban Defense Absolute again to eliminate the last substat in the common bag. And likewise, we can ban Landmine Damage, Landmine Chance, and Landmine Radius to eliminate the remaining substats from the rare bag. Consequently, every substat rolled can only come from the Epic, Legendary, or Mythic bag, greatly improving the hunt for Wall Health and Orbs. And fill in the blank.
Don't you worry about blank. Let me worry about blank.
Before locking a substat, ask 2 questions. Is this one of my hardest substats to find? And how much will locking it increase every future reroll? It's not just about banning a substat that's bad. It's also about banning a substat that competes with the ones that remain. Keep in mind that these exact shard totals apply to this specific armor mod scenario. Different mod types and desired substats have different bags, so the numbers change, but the strategy remains the same. The mid-game optimizer is trying to manage several substats at once. Our final tower has a simpler problem. 1 slot, 1 substat, and an absolutely unreasonable amount of reroll shards. No more blocking between multiple open slots. No complicated locking order. There is only you, 1 open slot, and the reroll button. So where do we start? Well, it's a little hard to explain without getting a little mathy on you. The roll needs to land on Ancestral, which happens 0.3% of the time, or once every 333 attempts. Then, it needs to select your desired substat from those remaining in the Ancestral bag. With all 7 bans, there are still 13 eligible substats in the bag. So even after a successful Ancestral roll, there is still a 92% chance.
These are not the droids you're looking for.
But both events must happen on the same attempt, which, if you're lucky, is once every 4,333 rolls, multiplied by 2,250 shards per roll, bringing us just shy of 10 million shards. But even the expected amount still leaves roughly a 37% chance of failure. For a 90% chance, plan on closer to 22 million shards.
And who do you think you kidnapped, Chelsea Clinton?
And that's still not a guarantee. In other words, good luck, nerd.
Captain Insano shows no mercy.
And this is basically what I thought the endgame reroll problem looked like, until I noticed something. Wait, this isn't even my final form. Remember our bags? The game rolls a rarity, then chooses an eligible substat from that rarity's bag. But what happens if one or more of those bags are completely empty? 6 substats are already locked, and one of those removes a common and rare capable substat from the equation. Our 7 bands eliminate the remaining eligible common and rare substats. Now the common and rare bags have nothing left in them. We didn't just improve the ancestral bag, we eliminated 86.2% of the normal rarity outcomes. Normally, we have a 13.8% chance for an epic or higher substat, but with common and rare gone, these outcomes are renormalized. Ancestral hasn't been buffed. Technically, its original weight is still 0.3%, but because common and rare can no longer appear, ancestral now represents about 2.17% of the remaining valid outcomes, more than 7 times what it was before. Meet the Endgame Chad. Chad has the same 7-slot core module as before, but at least 2 of those 6 locked substats is also helping eliminate the common and rare pool, like Spotlight Bonus, for example. That removes one of the 8 available substats from the common and rare bags, and we can use our 7 bands on the remaining common and rare candidates. We aren't just using our 7 bands to make our desired ancestral substat more likely. We're using the entire module state to manipulate which rarity bags can produce results. That's the difference between the Perfectionist and the Chad. The Perfectionist uses their bands. The Chad rigs the game. Expect around 600 attempts, or 1.3 million shards. 3 million shards for a 90% chance of success might sound horrible, until we remember that the Perfectionist needed over 22 million for the same feat. The Chad has turned the reroll button into the I win button. The Chad's expected savings are over 8 million reroll shards, an 86.2% reduction, and it's no coincidence. The common and rare bags originally consumed exactly 86.2% of the substat distribution.
I love it when a plan comes together.
This doesn't mean the Perfectionist was wrong. It's just what happens when common and rare substats remain available. The Chad simply found a much more favorable state before hunting for that final substat. So what did we learn today? We learned not to spam rerolls on that final slot just because you have enough shards. We also learned that existing locked substats matter just as much as your bands. And before you reroll that final slot, see if it's possible to completely remove a lower rarity bag from the pool of substats. If you take away anything from this video today, remember the best ban isn't necessarily the substat you don't want. The best ban may be the substat that makes an entire rarity impossible. The deeper you get into module rerolling, the less this becomes a game of praying for the right roll. New towers manage their shards. Mid-game towers manage their locks and bans. Endgame towers manage their probabilities, and Chads just delete 86% of the problem. I'm curious what your current reroll nightmare looks like.
What's your favorite scary movie?
Tell me what module you're working on, how many bands you have, and which substats you're trying to hit. Especially if you're sitting on a 6 substat ancestral module right now. You may want to look at those existing substats very differently before touching that reroll button. If this breakdown helped you save some reroll shards or stopped you from setting several million of them on fire, consider liking the video and subscribing for more tower guides. New recruits aim for useful, optimizers manage their bands, perfectionists prepare millions of shards, while the Chad empties the bags. Later, nerds.